handicappers, they're all in the know. Pick some winners and then we say, let's go. So come on, it's time to watch the show. We're talking hardball, Ken Griffey's grotesquely swollen jaw. We're talking hardball, over under on the hot dog.
Live on a beautiful day, at least where I am here in beautiful Rocky River, Ohio, just west of downtown Cleveland. It is a Wednesday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, where Wes Reynolds is, and he's out in Vegas. Did you do anything exciting besides betting weekly hardball this week in Vegas?
I have not, actually, Adam. Just awaiting the next heat wave that comes in. I know you guys are getting it in the Midwest, but just looking at the 10-day forecast, we're going to get up to a nice, cool 109 here later this, or actually early next week. So, this is part of the misery I tell people about. I say, well, it's really not that bad, but there's about 4 or 5 weeks of misery. Next week is one of the weeks of misery of living out here in Las Vegas.
I would still take it. It's been brutal here. I'm coaching a Little League game yesterday, and it was like 91 degrees, and it was just the kids were passing out on the field, and we threw them out there, get the hell back up and get going. But I'll take it. I'll take 90. I'll take 100 over 20 and snow any day of the week.
No, certainly it has its privileges living out here when it gets cold and it's 40.
Yeah,
so
right.
Certainly it has that. So you gotta take the sweet with the sour when it comes to that temperature.
Absolutely. This is Betting Weekly Hardball, and we got a lot to get to. Part of the Betting Weekly studios under the Bet Rivers umbrella. If you're not using the Bet Rivers app, if you're not using the Bet Rivers website, you are missing out. So check it out today. Betting Weekly Fast Break for all your basketball talk coming up in an hour. But we've got you covered throughout Major League Baseball, and we do have 2 day games that are going to get started in a few minutes. And we'll talk about those, and we'll keep you up to date as long as we're here on what's going on in those games when they start. So let's jump into those games right now, Wes. So 2 games starting at 2:10 Eastern, so 8 minutes from now, roughly. The first one is between the Diamondbacks and one of the most miserable teams in all of baseball, and I feel bad for Alex, who's one of our producers, because he's a White Sox fan. The White Sox have lost 11 of 13. Diamondbacks at the White Sox at 2:10. Zach Gallen against Sean Burke. Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks have gotten hot. There was a talk about it 2 weeks ago, even as recently as earlier this week. Could the Diamondbacks be sellers? Well, they don't, because their pitching staff's been devastated by injury. And Zach Gallen hasn't pitched well, but they're playing well. They've won 5 of 6 and 10 of 14 overall. So obviously they're playing much better. But from a betting standpoint, with this game about to start, anything that piques your interest here?
Yeah, I did make a small bet at under 8.5, which isn't as available now. You could still play 8. I think at Bet Rivers minus $1.04 juice to the under. So I might go like half unit, when you're not getting the best of it. But I do anticipate that this is probably going to be a low scoring game early. Getaway game. The day off, those Wednesday games are often the getaway games where a team's got to travel on Thursday. Certainly the Diamondbacks have to. The White Sox do not. They start a series with the Giants on Friday. So I usually like it when both teams are getting away, but only the one team. But there is the day off tomorrow. Sean Burke, save for that start that he made against Houston about 2 weeks ago today, has been relatively solid in his last few starts. Went 5 1/3 in St. Louis, struck out 7. Went 7 against Detroit, who have been terrific all season. Went 6 in Baltimore. Went 6 against the Rangers. So I think Sean Burke can give him a little bit of length today. And then Zach Gallen, who has not been the Zach Gallen, of course, that we're used to seeing when you look at that big ERA at about 5.8. But I think that there's some room for positive regression there for Gallen. So I like the under in this one. One game went over. That was Monday. It was 10-0. It was all Arizona who went over. And then it was 4-1 last night. So under for me, under 8, probably a half unit if you didn't get that 8.5.
Yeah, and to your point on Sean Burke, a couple of notes here. 6 of his last 8 starts. So since the start of May, he's made 9 starts. And in 7 of those 9 starts, he's given up 2 runs or less. So he's been outstanding. You mentioned the one bad start against the Astros. He also had one bad start in the middle of May against the Cubs at Wrigley. But you look at his last 5 home starts, 5 1/3, 1 earned run, 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 4 innings. I don't know why he only pitched 4 in that. Oh, he had 5 walks. That's why, but only 1 earned run. And then 6 innings, 0 earned runs. So he's been great, especially at home where he is today for this getaway day. And that's, if there's anything to hang your hat on as a White Sox fan, there's not much. It's their starting rotation is not awful. There's some reason to be excited about the rotation. The bullpen stinks, the lineup stinks, but the rotation has some interesting guys in it.
Yeah, no question. So gotta have some scintilla of optimism, I guess, there on the South Side.
Not much.
I actually thought that they would be a little bit better than they currently are, being at 25 and 55. I thought, okay, they maybe not surprise in terms of any contention, but I thought that they'd be a little bit better. But still, the bad team that we saw last year.
Yeah, they're only about 6-7 games up on the Rockies, who have played a little better lately, but we'll see. All right, the other game going on this afternoon, also this one starting in about 4 minutes, and this is an exciting one, and I know you got to play in this one. Pirates at the Brewers, a very exciting pitching matchup. The young superstar Paul Skeens, he's been up in the big leagues about a year now at this point. His opponent's been up in the big leagues for about 2 weeks. It's Jacob Misiorowski. He pitched 6, either 5 or 6 no-hit innings in his first start. Last start, he got off to a no-hit start for about 5 innings as well. This guy's been lights out, top prospect. This is a fun baseball game to watch if you like pitching, because I don't think we're going to see too much hitting in this one, Wes.
Yeah, because we're already seeing the total at 6.5 from that key number of 7, so I can't recommend chasing that. But I did play Misiorowski here in a different way. I played under 3.5 hits allowed, and one of the reasons I do that is because, he's only faced 18 and 20 hitters in his first 2 starts, so I don't think that they're really wanting to stretch him long necessarily here, and they don't have to based on last night when Freddie Peralta struck out 8. And went 6 strong. So not a lot of bullpen usage in Milwaukee last night. And also the fact that he's only given up 1 hit in 11 innings. He throws hard and he strikes a lot of guys out, which is why you're seeing some action to the 5.5 strikeouts. By the way, Bet Rivers, probably, if you want to get in on that, probably the best price relative to the rest of the market at, I believe, of like minus $1.32 is what I saw before we came on air here for the program. And, that's certainly a way to play it. I played under 3.5 hits allowed because one of the things that this young man does is he does walk a little bit. And he is a little wild. He was a little wild in AAA. He walked 4 in his first start, only 1 in the second start. So this is a guy that will put some free passes on against the Pirates. So I thought 3.5 hits. I thought that, because I think he's probably only going to go 5. That would be where I would say, unless he is at like an absurdly low amount of pitches where he's only at like, 45 or 50 pitches or something like that. So that's the way I played Miz here.
You look and and to your point of the bet you like there, the under on the hits, you're right. He's probably not going to go too long into the game because obviously they're going to be very careful with their young pitcher. And then you throw in on top of that the Pirates are one of the worst offensive teams in all of baseball. They are just absolutely dreadful. And they're actually, when it comes to power, they're actually it's just terrible. They've only hit 39 home runs against right-handed pitching in 81 games. I mean, you obviously face righties a lot more than lefties. And in 2,231 plate appearances, just 39 home runs. So your bet's on hits, so I guess the home runs don't really matter. But they are just not a productive offense at all.
No, they're not, and sometimes they can get a little aggressive, and even though they've been a little bit more patient, I think, or actually not as patient over the last couple of weeks, because we talked about that the last time we were together, how they're a lot of swing and miss, and they're kind of gripping right now.
Yeah.
a little bit. So, that aggression, I think, could definitely work against them in this spot.
The only they have two, Nick Gonzalez has been good for them. He's hitting 316. And Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who's batting ninth for them, is hitting 276. Everybody else, 254 below on this team. Brian Reynolds is having a miserable season. O'Neal Cruz is not having a particularly good season. By the way, one note going back to that Diamondbacks White Sox game, Josh Naylor, who's missed the last game and a half with a little bit of an injury, who's one of their best offensive players, is back in the lineup and hitting cleanup for Arizona. All right, those are the two games that are just getting underway. As I said, we'll keep you up to date on those. Also, sign up for the newsletter at bettingweeklystudios.com for weekly betting tips, soccer previews, tennis brackets and breakdowns, and a whole lot more. Let's get to some of the games going on later today. The Cardinals have won the first two games of their series with the Cubs. The Cubs are in their real first funk of the year, and the other teams in the NL Central, closing what was a big gap in that division. The Cardinals and Brewers now both within 2.5 games of first. We talked about the Brewers, but the Cardinals, an under-the-radar sneaky good pitching matchup between Matthew Boyd and Eric Fetty, who have both pitched very well. Boyd's been excellent for the Cubs, but Fetty's been really good. But what do you make of this game? Cardinals, like I said, have won the first two of the series.
Yeah, and Boyd has been excellent. I've hit my fair share of props on him this year. Only went 5 against Seattle. Just got that pitch count high early. Only ended up giving up 2 earned runs and 2 hits, but hasn't really been meeting his very lofty standard where he's been going 6 innings and into the 7th on a couple of occasions. I'm not going to use that as a cause for alarm, I think, necessarily on Matt Boyd. Could be a little slight regression for both of these pitchers, though. Sure. The xFIP about a run higher in the ERA. So that's why you're seeing a little bit of a move to the over at some spots. 8.5 juice the over. Bet Rivers, I know, at -124. There are some 9s, I believe, out there as well. So if you want to get in on that over, I'd probably get in on that now. I think that's moving the 9 more than likely across the board with these two pitchers. So nothing that I have necessarily played here as of yet, but the St. Louis Cardinals remain, I think, probably the biggest surprise in baseball so far that I've seen.
They had looked to be tailing off, but they've kind of bounced back and righted the ship here lately. By the way, you thinking about the over in the Cubs Cardinals. Here's the Cubs, the run total in the last 6 games involving the Cubs: 15, 13, 17, 20, 10, 15. So we're definitely trending with the over. They've gone way over 6 games in a row. Oddly, the Cubs. Here's the funny thing. In their last 6 games, the Cubs have scored, 15, 25, 29. The Cubs have scored 36 runs in their last 6 games. That's an average of 6 runs per game. Usually you average 6 runs per game, you go 5-1 or 6-0. They're 1-5 in those games.
Now, I will say, for tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I think, and we don't, of course, have any totals up yet. It's a little bit of a risk because it is Shota coming back tomorrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In his first start. So how long is he going to go? What's his pitch count going to be?
Right.
But I would lean under tomorrow because that's that early getaway game for these two teams where it's an early first pitch, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So that might be the under spot for this series. Yeah. But to your point with those numbers, hard to not bet anything but overs with these guys right now.
Yeah. And one last thing on Boyd, you mentioned his last start, he left early. Part of the reason he left early, it was precautionary, is I don't know if you saw the play, but there was a line drive, hit over 100 miles an hour right back at him. He caught it right in front of his face, and then he kind of fell back after he caught it. And they mentioned, I was watching the game, and they mentioned something like, he may have tweaked his back on there or something. So it was precautionary. It seemed like he was fine, but just something to keep in mind when if you're thinking about something with this game today. All right, let's get to the next game on the docket here. So we've got the Yankees at the Reds. The Yankees 12-0. The under is 12-0-1 in the last 30. We talked about the Cubs being over 6 games in a row. The Yankees have been under or a push, 12 unders in their last 13 games. With Max Fried pitching, usually the Yankees don't give up a lot of runs, but the Yankees have not, have been terrible. They've lost 9 of 12. Their lead down to one game. Anything for you in this?
Yeah, they're trying to avoid that sweep in Cincinnati. Who all
Yeah.
of a sudden, you look at the Reds, it's like, oh man, who do they really have? And they're 4 games over 500.
Yeah, they're playing
and,
well.
and trying to close the sweep, and very much, I think, in the Central. Yankees not able to get anybody in the extra inning lottery last night, and then it was Leiter Jr. taking the loss as the Reds were finally able to get some base traffic. But
yeah,
nothing yet for me here. Just eyeballing the price. It is a big premium. It is a $2 favorite for Max Fried, who, of course, a Cy Young campaign. You keep wondering, okay, when's he going to regress? At only a 2.05 ERA, just a 2.59 batting average balls in play. But the xFIP is right at 3, which is still very elite. So I think if you're chasing regression on Max Fried, you're not getting rewarded right now with many winning tickets. So, I'm small lean to the over at 9, but gonna stay out of this one. Brady Singer's, I think, been quality, but at least a little bit up and down. The good thing is he is keeping the ball in the ballpark, which is hard to do at what they call the Great American Small Park there in Cincinnati.
In his last 8 starts, Brady Singer, starting with the Guardians on May 16th, he got destroyed by the Astros on May 10th. Gave 7 runs and 2 1/3. Since then, his last 7 starts, he has a 3.23 ERA and has not given up more than 3 runs in any start. And he's faced some good teams: Detroit, St. Louis, Arizona, Milwaukee. That's his last 4 starts, and in those last 4, he's only given up a total of 7 runs in 22 innings. So he's pitching well right now. I'll tell you, I like the Reds in this game. They're maybe massive is a little strong, but they're plus 180. They're playing better baseball. As great as Fried has been, and I'm not saying he's going to regress. I'm with you. Like, he's great, but I kind of like the Reds in this game. I was going to let's go. Let's get crazy and bet the Reds plus 180.
Well, I don't want to lay it necessarily with the Yankees here, where with their streak and just kind of a little bit of a power outage at the plate. And I know they got 9 off Zach Eflin, and or 9 not just off him, but off Baltimore in general. But they hit Zach Eflin pretty hard on Saturday. But Zach Eflin's really been struggling. So the Yankees have definitely had a power surge offensively. It's really lasted throughout the month. They didn't hit at Boston. They didn't hit against the Angels at home, save for the series finale. So I'm not trusting this offense to lay $2 on the road. So I haven't bet it yet, but I'll endorse the dog more than I will the favorite here.
I appreciate that. Yeah, they scored 7 against the Angels on June 19th, and as you said, 9 against Baltimore on the 21st. And they have barely scored any runs besides those 2 games since June 12th. That you're talking over 2 weeks right now. So.
And maybe part of that is when Stanton came back in the lineup and getting him used to it, and look, he's a little advanced in his career, so he's not the hardest guy necessarily to get out. I know he's not necessarily playing every day. Did not go last night. Was going a little bit of a platoon, but yeah, these guys, Judge has cooled off a little bit now, cooling off a relative term, being that he's still hitting 364, but. They're just not getting it out of that middle part of the lineup. They're not getting it consistently out of Jazz Chisholm or LeMahieu or Volpe. Just not getting that. I think Judge and Goldschmidt and Bellinger has started to hit a little bit better, but just not getting the consistency out of that middle to bottom part of the lineup.
I said it once. I'll say it a million times. I would never. I don't know why you'd ever pitch to Aaron Judge in a close game. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not worried about any other player in that lineup.
Right.
Again, you're right. Bellinger, Goldschmidt, they're fine, and but most of the rest of the lineup has struggled. And Judge is so good, I would never take a chance on him. Now, as the Yankees have blown the lead, who's been able to take advantage of it? Well, it's the Tampa Bay Rays, a team that nobody ever talks about, and the Blue Jays too. Blue Jays are only 2.5 games out, but the Rays have been the much better team. The Rays just 1 game back of the Yankees, very close to the Yankees in terms of run differential. And you don't think the Rays don't blow you away with big, sexy names, but they've only scored they haven't scored many less runs than the Yankees, and they're playing really well right now. For them today, they're in Kansas City. It's Rasmussen against Waka. The Rays, since May 19th, have gone 23-9. 8 of 11 more recently, but 23-9 since May 17th or whatever that date was I gave you there, May 19th. So they're playing great baseball.
Yeah, you look, and they're only 2.5 back of the Yankees.
Down to one.
Down to one, I should say. So I was looking at an old record sheet here, but look, I was asleep at the wheel a little bit this morning. This was 8.5. It did move to 9. I don't like when it does that because I often say 7 and 9 are the key totals here. Like if you go 8 to 8.5. That's not that bad, even though you don't want to make it a habit of chasing a worse number if you're betting an over on a total. But I could see why the Rays are starting to, I think, hit a little bit better, and especially on the road. Kansas City, Michael Wacha, he's been a little fortunate this year. I think he's been one of the luckier pitchers at 3.24 on the ERA, but 4.41 on the xFIP. Not a guy that really strikes out a ton, doesn't give up a lot of home runs. So that obviously keeps that ERA and that xFIP even lower. But yeah, I would still lean over. I'm not going to endorse a bet on it at 9 when you could have had 8.5 because I think 9's a key number. But the Rays just keep going here, and the fact that I thought it was going to be, and I still do. So I'm not backing off of it, being that they're not that far out of it. The Blue Jays were the team that I thought were the team to watch, really, here in the AL East. And I thought the Rays, I was like, I don't know. This might be a down year, man. And they're finding ways. They're doing what the Rays do, is when everybody counts them out, everybody writes them off. They don't write back necessarily. And right now, just one game back in the East.
I want to go back to the live games right now because the Arizona Diamondbacks, I mentioned before we moved away from that game that Josh Naylor was back in the lineup. He had a 2-run homer in the first inning. So Arizona's up 2-0 going to the bottom of the first in that one. Pirates and Brewers scoreless, bottom one in Milwaukee. So if you're thinking about doing some live betting in game, something to keep an eye on.
The young kid, already 2 strikeouts, did have to go 21 pitches there in that first, and didn't give up a hit, does give up a walk. He'll give up his fair share of walks, but he'll strike guys out. So decent inning for the young man.
Yep. All right, let's get to the next game. We've got, before we do that, subscribe or Friday, this coming Friday at 5 a.m. Eastern, 5 in the morning, a special live show from across the pond with Nigel Seeley, Rory Giovanni, and Tim Dennis breaking down the bracket draw for Wimbledon. As always, live shows are available on demand on YouTube. But if you want to watch it live with the guys, get the breakdown from Wimbledon Friday at 5 a.m. Eastern.
I will have my strawberries and cream ready for that program.
Will you be eating strawberries and cream while you watch it?
I probably will. What when in Rome or when in England, do as the English do, and that's what they do there at Wimbledon.
That is appropriate. All right, next game on the docket: Nats at the Padres. Good pitching matchup: Mackenzie Gore, Nick Pivetta. They've split the first 2 games in this one. Anything catch your eye in this game, Wes?
Nothing that I bet here as of yet. Obviously, Mackenzie Gore is just putting up stupid strikeout numbers. Almost 12 per 9 innings. That is the highest in Major League Baseball, and this guy is just mowing him down here. So I was just eyeballing what his prop was today. I was going to take a guess that it was around 6.5. It's actually 5.5. A juice to the under here for Mackenzie Gore. So, that surprised me a little bit. That would seem to be a little low. I would lean over on that. Now, when it's so far off of where I thought it might be, that gives me at least a little bit of a pause, I think, to get involved here. But Washington, nice job where they ran out Kolek last time that we were here. Kolek really struggled that second time through the order against the lefties. So last game of the series for both of these teams. They're both off, I believe, tomorrow. So Padres will go on the road, and the Nats will obviously go on the road. A day game here would lean a little bit under. if you made me. I think that's been hit a little bit. It's 7.5, juice the under -118 at Bet Rivers. But if I were to play it, I would play that way because I just think that early, sometimes you get quick hacks a little bit, and you've
Yeah.
got two quality pitchers, and especially a really good strikeout pitcher like Gore. And Pivetta is, not chop liver himself, 9.75 per 9 innings. So under or nothing for me in the Petco this afternoon.
There's another afternoon game at 4:07 p.m. The Red Sox at the Angels. So that'll be 1:07 local time in California. That's a game where both teams are off. And let's see, are both teams going on the road? The Angels stay at home. Boston heads out. But that game's at, like I said, 4:07. And you've got to pick when it comes to Richard Fitz against Yusei Kikuchi. I say Kakachi. Dick Fitz, what do you got on him today?
Well, you say I only hear what I want to, like the famous Lisa Loeb song, Stay, where Toronto actually used to play that after he would get a strikeout. I'm not sure if they're doing that at the Big A and following suit. But Richard Fitz is actually my play here. And Richard Fitz, of course, got called back down. His last start, by the way, was on June 2nd against these very Halos, where he only made it 1 inning. And he gave up 5 earned and 4 hits and walked 1. So you're going with a little bit of a leap of faith here, but I think under 2.5 runs because number one, he just got called back up. So I wonder how long Alex Cora is going to have. At least talk about a guy under some heat right now. Alex Cora, I see it all over social media. It's like, is this going to be his last game as Red Sox skipper as they are kind of spiraling a little bit, and certainly they dealt Devers. But anyway, back to Fitz. I think he rebounds here in the Big A. I don't know how long he goes. I don't necessarily know if they're gonna try to get him 5 innings. Bullpen, even though Whitlock has worked the last 2 nights, relatively well rested. So didn't have to go very deep last night with Crochet with that great performance, double-digit strikeouts and go 7 strong. So could see a quick hook for Fitz here, even if he's going well. They may not trust him to go, what they would ordinarily need a starter to go. So I played under 2.5 recorded outs, or earned runs here, rather, I should say.
All right. We got the Blue Jays and the Guardians. Let's get to that game here. Max Scherzer, who's pitched 3 innings this season, the first weekend of the year. He's going to be 41 years old in a month. He comes off the IL. I was talking with a guy who does a podcast for the Blue Jays yesterday, and he has 0 expectations for Max Scherzer. He thinks Scherzer's done. We shall see. Meanwhile, Gavin Williams will be on the hill for the Guardians. Gavin Williams, who's got all kinds of talent. I complain about his nibbling quite a bit. May finally be putting it all together. Since the start of May, 9 starts, and he's only given up more than 2 runs twice. Gave up 3 to Houston in 6 innings, still a solid start. And a bad start against the Dodgers where he allowed 10 base runners and 4 runs at the end of May in 4 2/3. Besides that, he's been great. Excellent against San Francisco last time out. What do you make of this matchup in Cleveland?
Yeah, I don't know what to do with Max Scherzer here either. And by the way, the market doesn't, because there's no recorded outs props, because we don't know, okay, how long of a leash are they going to give him in this first start back? Usually it's not all that much. So that's why you're not seeing a lot of these props up. The Guardians, and I know we were having a conversation before the program, before we went on air here. This is not a lineup that obviously scares you by any stretch of the imagination, but they're what they, I'll use an old pro wrestling term. They're what you call tough customers. Is that, they kind of fight off pitches and they get a lot of foul balls. This is not a team you look up and down the lineup and it's like, oh man, these are really great averages with these teams, but they're pesky. They're absolutely pesky. Somehow, some way they find ways to hang around. I know, have fallen a little bit off. They're only 1 game over 500, but Williams, I think, has been solid. I think their staff, we know the strength of the team is the bullpen. I think, still remains so. So if they could just get some support at the plate, I think the starting pitching's actually been a little bit better then
It's
maybe
been
will
good.
meet the eye, you know,
Yeah.
including who you mentioned here at the start of the night, Gavin Williams.
Yeah, Luis Ortiz has pitched well. Slade Ciccone has pitched well. Both those guys in their first years with the Guardians. So, yeah, their pitching is pretty good. And I would stay away from this game because you just don't know what to expect from Scherzer. Let's talk about the Tigers. I know you got a play on Jack Flaherty. The Tigers are hosting Oakland. And what's your play there on Flaherty in this game?
Yeah, and I haven't bet it yet, Adam, in full
Yeah.
disclosure. I think I'm going to, though. Under 17 and a half recorded outs.
Okay.
Scooball was not his best last night. And by the way, that recorded out, speaking of that, something I ended up betting, 20 and a half. When do you ever see 20 and a half on a recorded outs for
that's bizarre.
A starting pitcher? So that means, you know, you got to go 7 to clear it. And Scooball ended up going 6, but he got rocked a little bit early. He gave up 4 earned runs, so not one of his best outings, but they still got some distance out of him. Jack Flaherty, his last couple starts only went 4 2/3 against Cincinnati, gave up 5 hits, 7 earned, walked 5, and then at Tampa, didn't even make it out of the third inning. Only goes 2 1/3, gives up 8 earned, 6 hits, 3 walks. He's given up too many bombs too, where he's letting a guy on and giving up a home run in a very crucial spot. So I know this is the Athletics, and I know this is the rebound spot. It looked like the rebound spot too for Scooball, and the A's still got 4 runs up there. So Jack Flaherty under 17 and a half outs, I think might be worth a look here, and especially at plus money, because it's going to be taxed to the over, being that they're facing a lowly team in the Athletics here, maybe soon to be the Las Vegas Athletics. By the way, they did do a little groundbreaking ceremony here in Las Vegas yesterday for the stadium that's supposed to be on the corner of Trop and Las Vegas Boulevard. We still don't even know if this team's going to make it here. This is as the world turns.
Yeah, it's a disgrace
here. Absolutely. So, you know, we did that. So it was hard for me to like get really excited about it because it's like, I don't know if this team ever plays a damn game here. So that's just an aside note on this one. But Flaherty under 17 and a half outs, I think worth a look.
By the way, some updates on the early games. Diamondbacks and White Sox 2-2 in the bottom of the first. Josh Naylor with a 2-run homer in the top of the first. And Andrew Benintendi with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the. Oh, was it not a 2-run homer? It was a solo shot.
Yeah.
How did they score their first run there?
Yeah, it was him on the first run. I'm showing 2 outs. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kyle Teek got an RBI single to score Miguel Vargas with the second.
Okay. There we go.
There you go. And the Pirates and Brewers scoreless in the top of the second inning. Skeens 2 Ks and a walk in the first inning. Mizorowski has 3 Ks and a walk through an inning and 2/3. So
this is going to be like the Blutarski in Animal House.
Oh, yeah.
0.0.
Yeah.
When you look at the inning at the rundown, not a lot of runs to be had up there in Milwaukee today.
No, not at all. All right. Rangers at the Orioles. That's another game you like. Jacob deGrom, who's, you know, when he's healthy is always great. It's really never been an exception to that. And you like him tonight.
I do, and I played under 4.5 hits allowed here for Jacob deGrom. The one thing about deGrom you very rarely see, I think he's done it a couple times. They'll take him deeper a little bit in games, but not with the pitch count. This is a guy's pitch count. Bruce Bochy has, I think, been very good about keeping him around 90. You know, maybe low 90s. You very rarely see deGrom go over 100 pitches. So that leads you to think, okay, a little bit quicker hook for a guy that's obviously been pitching terrific, with his potential Cy Young, I think, campaign in the American League. But Jacob deGrom, he doesn't go as deep into games as a lot of the other, I think, elite aces. You look at the pitch counts. I'm just going down. I was just trying to pull it up here really quickly. 84 pitches, 82 pitches, 81 pitches, 81 pitches, 81. Did go 103 once, did go 96 once, but you are not seeing him go very rarely into the mid 90s. So I think the Orioles are gonna have a lot of trouble hitting this guy. So 4.5, and that's been on the move a little bit this morning. The under for Jacob deGrom. It is Brandon Young going for the Orioles. We'll see how long he goes. He has not lasted long in his 2 starts, so I don't know how much distance he's going to go there in Camden Yards tonight. So that's why you see the Rangers at a relatively hefty favorite, being a team that they've had their own power outage at the plate basically for the better part of the whole entire season. But minus 150 because DeGrom is there, and this opened at 9, by the way, the total, and now is low at 8 in some places, and I think heavily juiced the under at Bet Rivers at 8.5. So DeGrom under 4.5 hits is the way I'm going to play this.
All right. I'm going to go rapid fire through the rest of the games just to mention, and if there's anything that's got your eye peaked, then let me know. We'll start with the Braves at the Mets. 20-year-old Didier Fuentes, who just turned 20. I think he's the youngest player in baseball right now. Made his major league debut last time out. He'll start against the Mets, and the Mets are like the Yankees. The Mets are playing terrible baseball. Clay Holmes will pitch for the Mets. You think the Mets bounce back tonight or no?
I will say, first of all, when I saw D. Fuentes, I thought that was Daisy Fuentes, the famous MTV VJ. But the young man, Didier Fuentes, 20 years old, the Braves, I'm not ready to count them out yet, Adam, even though they're still, under 500. I still think they've got a run left in them. Don't want to get involved with the Mets. I think this price is a little bit too rich now, even though the Mets have been getting the money. It'd be Braves or pass for me. I
agree. Speaking of teams playing poorly, the Twins are playing terrible baseball. They had that red-hot stretch last month. Now they're falling apart. The Mariners are hitting like crazy. George Kirby's been a huge bust for Seattle this year. Joe Ryan's been great for Minnesota, but, man, they've lost 8 of 9. They're playing just absolutely dreadful baseball. Anything there?
Yeah, I want to fade the Twins here, but I don't want to do it with George Kirby. Save for the outing in the Big A where he had 14 strikeouts. He has not been the same coming back from injury. He was one of my favorite pitchers to bet in all of baseball because he would always give you, even when he didn't have his best stuff, it seemed like he would always go 6 innings. And he's just not doing that this year. He only did it once, that aforementioned game against the Angels, but only went 5 in Wrigley, only went 5 against Cleveland, only went 5 against Baltimore, only went 5 against Washington, 3 2/3 in his return at Houston. So I just can't trust George Kirby right now. Nope. So this is going to be a stay away for me.
Phillies at the Astros. Zach Wheeler going for the Phillies. Obviously, he's been great. Colton Gordon for the Astros. He has been okay. Anything in this game?
Nothing for me. We did have a pitcher's duel, by the way, last night with Suarez and Framber Valdez. Suarez gave up that home run in the 8th, and that was the decider. But Astros bullpen continues to be solid this year. They'll give you some scares if you watch them enough, but Bobby Abreu is the setup man, and Josh Hader has been very good this year. That's really been the strength of their team, and that's why you see them kind of starting to pull away there in the AL West. We were kind of wondering, it was like, is this the end of the line for the Astros? Not so much, because that bullpen has been absolutely dynamite. Would lean under here at 7.5, particularly the first 5 under. Bullpen's obviously in very good shape. Did not have to do a lot of work in the duel last night.
Speaking of good pitching, under the radar, maybe the best pitching matchup of the night, Edward Cabrera of the Marlins and Logan Webb of the Giants. We know about Logan Webb, but folks may not know what's going on with Edward Cabrera, who at one point came up as a top prospect. He's been injured a lot, and obviously the team stinks. But think about this, Wes. At the end of April, he made 4 starts in April. And when April was done, his ERA, Edward Cabrera, was 7.23. So people probably forgot all about him. Well, his ERA is now 3.81. So what does that tell you? That tells you he's pitching great. Since April, he has made 8 starts. He has given up a total of 10 runs in 40 1/3 innings for the Marlins. And the Marlins have actually gone 5 in the Marlins have actually won 5 of the last 7 games he's pitched. That's how good he's been. He's been able to overcome their inept offense. So he's been great. That should be a good pitching matchup. What about the under in that one?
Yeah, and there's a reason why the Marlins are getting a lot of calls, including from the Chicago Cubs on Cabrera. Alcantara getting some too, but maybe not as much as Cabrera. He's been terrific. And Logan Webb, what can you say? This guy is Mr. Consistency. He is the most consistent starter in all of baseball. He's one of the more sure things if you're betting under like 2.5 earned runs, hammer that under on this guy. But yeah, this would be under or nothing, and you're starting to see it get juiced at 7. Of course, that being a pitcher's park out there in San Francisco. So that'd probably be the way I would play it here. Giants, we keep wondering, when are they going to cool off? Maybe they're not.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just that
maybe
good. Yeah, they're just that good right now. 44-35. Did take the loss at last time out, but under or nothing here for me.
Now, finally, the best team in baseball against the worst. The Dodgers against the Rockies. We know that Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who was solid in his last start, overall has not pitched well of late. He pitched well against the Cardinals, but bad against the Yankees, bad against the Giants. But he's facing the Rockies this time and Chase Dollander. So this is a game you stay away from, right?
Yeah. It is for me now.
Yeah.
Our colleague and I, Doug Kazarian, and I have this little debate. Doug kind of likes to be the betting bully.
Yeah.
Sometimes where he picks on these bad teams like the Rockies. I tend to stay away where it's like, man, they might be unbettable, but boy, you never want to try to beat a streak and get in front of it and be stubborn. But you also don't want to be the one that's like, okay, when everybody else has been riding it and you're too late for the party and early for the funeral, if you will, with the Rockies. Yeah. So I bet very few Rockies games this year, and we'll add this one to the list that I don't bet tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they're even minus a run and a half. The Dodgers are still minus 240. That's
outrageous.
I mean, that's just absolutely crazy. All right. Let's recap, Wes, the picks you have made. You got 4 plays today.
Yep. Yeah, one of them a little behind here, the under in that White Sox game. That was kind of a bonus when we gave out Mizorowski. Roski. Nice. We're going to go with Rowe. Has started off well, hadn't given up a hit, under 3.5 hits allowed. A couple of the other ones, Richard Fitz, under 2.5 earned runs. Jacob deGrom, under 4.5 hits allowed. And I think I'm going to add Jack Flaherty at under 17.5 outs at plus money against the Athletics tonight.
And my one pick, take the Reds plus 185 to outright beat the Yankees. Let's go. That'll be a big winner, hopefully, for everybody tonight. Thanks to Shane and Alex for producing today. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening today. For Wes, I'm Adam. We'll talk to you next time. Remember, Betting Weekly Fast Break coming your way in less than 20 minutes. This is Betting Weekly Hardball, part of the Betting Weekly Studios under the Bet Rivers umbrella. We'll talk to you next time.